Okay, today we're doing Venus in Sagittarius, and what I'm going to do is share my slideshow with you. Prior to this, I've done right from Aries through first house, right through to Scorpio 8th house. So you can look back on those videos, and then next week I'll be doing Capricorn, and then the last two, Capricorn and whatever, and then that'll be the whole set of Venus in through the houses. So what I've got is, let's see here. We've got Venus has an inner nature and an outer nature. So the way in which it works is the way in which we hear our own voice, and then as we listen, and then we project that outwards into the world, and then we see it reflected back to us. So it's about to do with our needs. So whatever's going on in our mind and the way we're sort of figuring things out, and then we project that out, and then we get it mirrored back. So it's about our inner needs and our values. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius and the 9th house. Next slide is, how do I talk to myself? So this is a really important thing that we need to establish as part of our evolution, that we need to be able to look at our chart and look at our own conditioning and see where we can evolve, you know, the voice in our head that is not ours. And this will come through consensus reality. It will come through, you know, the things that we've been told to believe. And it's up to us to dissect that, and learning about your chart and astrology through evolutionary astrology, the soul, to do with Pluto and the South Node and the North Node, means that we're able to work to understand ourselves. Now, here you have my chart. I'm going to explain that this chart's dated the 23rd of August. On the outside of the chart, if you've not seen an astrology chart before, these planets, the little symbols, are called transits, and it's where the planets are today, or were on the 23rd of August. So the personal planets, which are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, move very quickly throughout the chart. Mars not so much, it's 2 years around a chart it takes to orb. And Saturn, Jupiter will take 12 years, and Saturn takes 28.5 years, I think about right there. And Pluto, for instance, 245 years. So you see my Pluto, when I was born, is up here. And what you've got is that it's transited from here when I was born, 21st of May 66, to here currently, second house. And my Venus, you can see here, is in Aries. Venus in Aries at 18 degrees. So what I do is that, or what we all do when we're looking at a chart, is we're looking at the whole picture. So we're looking at, although my Venus is in Aries, it's in the 5th house, which is also Leo. So I would also look to Leo to understand what my own Venus is about. Here we've got a natal chart represents our potential. It also represents what we have been and where we are at and what we can become. We have free will, and knowing this means we get to make choices. And that's really important to know, that we do have free will, that the planets and the symbolisms are just showing us the energy that we're working with, and we do have choices. It is important that we always look at the totality of a chart, and in evolutionary astrology, the baseline is Pluto and the North Node and the South Node. So Pluto is basically what's unconscious in us, and we look to the polarity point of Pluto, and the North Node is where we're going to shine, where we want to shine in this lifetime, and the South Node is what we brought in with us past life, and it's also our gifts. So that's the easy bit for us, the gifts that we just continue and carry on. So now I'm going to read to you Venus in Sagittarius, and the ruler is Jupiter. So here we have a pattern and a need for discovery and to actualize their own truth, meaning and purpose. This is to do with personal truth, and it's their own guiding truth and thinking and reasoning, looking for their own center and meaning to know their purpose. Venus in Sagittarius are committed to their own growth and evolution. Inwardly, they are restless and looking for answers and confirmation to liberate themselves. They will go after any experience they deem fit for the purpose of their expansion of inner truth. There is a need for emancipation, and they will not settle with being bound nor accept restriction. They know deep in their being they are connected to something larger than self, and they are aware there is a composer to all that exists, and there must be innate laws and theories not yet known. They need to understand the bigger picture and are searching for it via their own personal truth and value systems. They look to that which resonates with them, and their inner truth shows in how they relate to others. They need others who give them room for personal freedom and for them to discover who they are. And then going on, they think in images and they crave knowledge, and they have a natural instinct and wisdom and do not wish to be boxed in. Positive, passionate and committed, and they look for solutions to problems. And there is humor here. Being light-hearted leads to healing. Fun-loving and wholehearted and truthful. And the projection of being truthful is their own desire for truth. And the problem here can be an inability to be exact, and this can be maddening for others. So being exact in, they can, because when one sees the bigger picture, they'll question everything. And it means that, it's difficult to get to one thing with them. And I have Pluto in my 9th house, so I resonate with this highly also. But we're talking about Venus here in Sagittarius. So we will come back here. To overgeneralize can make others feel they are not being heard or their truths are not of value. There can be a tendency to make mountains out of molehills and to add to a story. Storytellers. They can feel stifled by routines, and they need others who can reflect back to them their own inner truths. They also need travel and stimulation, and the choice of doing this alone or with a partner. The need to develop their own purpose in life. And we can balance this with the polarity of Gemini. They are needed to learn all truth is relative to situations and circumstances, and to tone down the needing to convert others and allow others to have their own views. And in this way, we learn something new too, to see the other side of things. This helps them widen their scope of the world. So ways to do that is to ask other people questions, and not, to think that we know it all. And with this placement, and also with Pluto, the same in Sagittarius or 9th house. But here's Venus in Sagittarius. Okay, I love this. Uganda. Mankind is engaged in an internal quest for that something else he hopes will bring him happiness, complete and unending. For those individuals, souls who have sought and found God, the search is over. He is that something else. So when we know that God is not just, existential, that God is inside us, that we're all made up of the same thing, the stars, and we're made of the same stuff as the stars, like the totality of space and the earth is contained in our bodies, in the minerals and the stardust, it's all connected. There's no separation. So when we know that, and we know that what we seek is not outside ourselves, this is a hard lesson for us humans, but this is the ultimate truth. And then we have Carl Gustav Jung, who I adore. He passed in 1961, and he was psychoanalysis and creator of that with the early people that were into that, and Freud also. And Carl Gustav Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And what you resist not only persists, but it will grow in size. And resistance determines the magnitude of our problems or confrontations. So the more we resist something, the bigger the problem becomes. And we probably maybe see that in our lives. And the source material here is Jeff Wolf Green, Pluto 1. I highly recommend that book. It's an evolutionary journey of the soul. And the quote were by Carl Gustav Jung and Uganda, and the pictures are from Google. And if you want a reading or to look at your chart or to look at early trauma with me, then you can email me or see the links below, and I will link in with you that way, or you can find me on Facebook as well. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week with Capricorn.